I thought it was just an ordinary fever. But the doctor pinned me down for a blood test, and then he told me I was pregnant. I stared at the medical report in disbelief. My HCG level was over 100,000. I stammered, but I'm a beta. A defective beta at that, born with an underdeveloped reproductive structure. The doctor slapped the report onto the desk impatiently. You've had a high fever for a week straight. Did you ever consider you might be going through a second differentiation? Second differentiation? He said I was about to transform into an Omega. I can smell high-level alpha pheromones on you. You have an alpha boyfriend, right? Boyfriend was a stretch. But I did have a consistent partner. What happened to him? If a beta is repeatedly marked by a high-level alpha, there's a chance of second differentiation into Omega. The doctor narrowed his eyes. You two have been doing it a lot, haven't you? My face burned. Ryan Sterling practically filled me to overflowing every time. And now I was turning into an Omega. Who was I supposed to complain to? Especially when he hates Omegas. I let out a long sigh. I guess our 3-year relationship had finally reached its end. The doctor prescribed painkillers and a box of pheromone-suppressant patches. He urged me to tell my alpha about the pregnancy, that both the baby and the parent needed the alpha's pheromone stability to remain healthy. But how was I supposed to say that? Ryan Sterling and I had known each other since high school. After university, I joined his company. At a celebration banquet during my internship, he hit his susceptible period, and a frenzied Omega went after him. As an employee, I tried to help him escape, but he lost control and kissed me. The next morning, I woke up sore and exhausted. He was ice-cold and distant, yet promoted me instantly from intern to his personal secretary. By day, I blocked desperate Omegas that chased him. By night, I helped him get through his susceptible periods. Aside from my monthly salary, he gave me an extra 100,000 yuan every month as a bonus. And I needed that money. A gambling father, a sick mother, a little sister still in school, and a broken me. My hand slowly rested on my abdomen. I knew the safest choice was to get rid of the baby, hide the fact that I was becoming an Omega, and continue this arrangement with Ryan Sterling. But the doctor's words echoed in my head. This might be the only child you'll ever have. The moment I stepped out of the hospital, my phone rang. Ryan Sterling. Ian Carter, where did you go? Why didn't you come to work? I requested. I didn't even finish before he cut me off. Voice sharp and commanding. I don't care where you are. Come to my office. Now. Immediately. I shoved the medicine into my bag and rushed to the company. As soon as I pushed open the office door, Ryan yanked me inside and kissed me without warning. With the door still half open, I quickly reached behind me and locked it. My breath caught in my throat. The entire room was saturated with his alpha pheromones, so thick they hung in the air like fog. It was the first time I'd ever smelled pheromones at that concentration. My knees weakened instantly. The dull ache at the back of my neck suddenly flared hot and swollen. Mixed with Ryan's cold pine scent, there was something else. A faint lily-of-the-valley sweetness. It was coming from me. The doctor's words echoed. You're about to differentiate into an Omega. Panic shot through me. I clamped a hand over the back of my neck, terrified Ryan might catch the scent and throw me out on the spot. He despised Omegas, viscerally. Ryan pinned me against the desk, lowered his head, and inhaled near my neck. His breath was scorching against my skin. The vein under my nape throbbed painfully, the gland reacting on instinct. I jerked back a little in fright. Ian, you smell really good today. Do I? He gripped my wrist, and before I could process anything, he bit down on my nape, right where the gland was forming. A sharp crack of heat ran through every nerve in my body. His pheromones surged into me with overwhelming force. My mind went white. My body reacted against my will. A sound tore out of my throat, one I didn't recognize as my own. When it finally ended, Ryan fell asleep almost instantly, exhausted. I opened the window for ventilation, cleared away the stained bedding, and quietly stepped out of the office. The head secretary was standing right outside. He froze when he saw me, and when his eyes landed on the marks on my neck, he went silent. My lips stung from where he had bitten them. I kept my voice steady. Mr. Sterling is asleep in the restroom. You can wake him in an hour. I'm taking the rest of the day off. The secretary immediately straightened and nodded. Yes, Secretary Ian. Please go home and rest. I dragged my exhausted body home, stuffed the dirty bedsheet into the washing machine, and collapsed straight into bed. When I finally woke up again, my phone was vibrating nonstop. The sky outside was already pitch dark. I squinted at the screen. Ryan Sterling was calling. The time read past 10 p.m. Of course, I was just a miserable salary slave. I accepted my fate and picked up. Mr. Sterling. Ian Carter. Do you have any idea how many times I've called you? Where the hell did you go? I had a fever. I'm sorry, Mr. Sterling. I didn't hear the phone. I sincerely apologize. My voice came out hoarse. A fever? Was it because this afternoon He stopped abruptly, then switched topics sharply, voice cutting like ice. I think I smelled Omega scent on you today. My heart seized in my chest. Logically, a high-level alpha entering a susceptible period shouldn't retain full memory afterward. I never expected Ryan to remember anything. That realization chilled me to the bone. I wasn't ready for everything between us to collapse so suddenly. But instead of what I feared, I heard, Ian, you belong to me right now. You're not allowed to mess around. I don't share. If I find out you've touched another Omega or Alpha, I'll kill them. A wave of relief hit me so hard my knees softened. There was no such thing, I answered immediately. That scent must have come from the hospital. I didn't realize it. I'm sorry, Mr. Sterling. I'll make sure to be careful next time. Silence. Only his breath through the receiver. Mr. Sterling? Can you work tomorrow? How's your body? I slept it off. I'm fine. I'll definitely be on time tomorrow. The moment I finished speaking, he hung up. I let the phone drop onto the bed. Even in those few minutes, cold sweat had soaked my back. High-level alphas aren't people families like mine can afford to offend. The sooner I get out, the safer I'll be. My sister had already been accepted into university. She was tutoring now to pay her own tuition. My mother's illness had stabilized. If everything went well, she'd be discharged after one more week of observation. As for my father, his gambling debts were nowhere near paid. But my mother finally filed for divorce. She's an Omega, and he had abused her for years. My sister exposed everything to the media, and public attention forced the court to step in. The legal process was moving fast. It wouldn't be long before she was free. And the debts my father racked up, none of that money was ever spent on us. So the law ruled that he alone would be responsible for repayment. Which meant I no longer needed Ryan Sterling's extra $100,000 a month just to survive. The next morning, I sprayed enough suppressant to drown every trace of pheromones on my body. The moment I stepped into the office, Ryan Sterling's eyebrows knitted tightly. I panicked for a split second, thinking maybe the Omega scent hadn't faded. I lifted my wrist to check. Nothing. Only the faint bitterness of the suppressant. Didn't they say betas pick up pheromone scents very easily? Ryan muttered. We were intense yesterday, broke the bed and everything, so why don't you smell like me at all today? Ian Carter, did you wash off my scent on purpose? No, I didn't. Then explain this. Why don't you have any of my scent? Looking at his stormy expression, I couldn't help silently thinking, so high-level alphas in susceptible periods really are unreasonable. Since when was smelling like someone a good thing? I thought it was better not to smell like you, I said matter-of-factly. People won't ask questions. You don't want others knowing about our relationship, right? That's not better, he grumbled. I had no idea what was going through his head and frankly didn't want to find out. I placed the documents on his desk. Mr. Sterling, here's today's schedule. He skimmed the papers. There's a banquet tonight at the Shea estate. You're coming with me. My job was simple. Stay close and keep any approaching Omega away from him. I nodded. Understood. That afternoon, Ryan tossed a white suit at me. I stared at it, confused. Tonight, you're my beta. Dress properly. His beta? My heart thudded painfully once, then twice. I went into the restroom to change. The bed had already been repaired. I'd barely taken off my clothes when a chill crawled down my spine. I turned around and saw Ryan leaning against the doorway, staring at me like a wolf sizing up its prey. The moment our eyes met, he shut the door and walked toward me. He wrapped an arm around my waist, and the surge of alpha pheromones hit like a wave. My knees buckled. I collapsed against him, clinging to his shoulders. His cool suit brushed against my overheated skin, making me tremble. My beta should smell like me from head to toe. Then he pressed his lips to mine. Heat roared up around me like wildfire. Only when the alarm on my phone went off did he finally stop. I lay on the bed for several minutes, too dazed to move. Ryan, on the other hand, looked thoroughly satisfied. He helped me to the bathroom, washed me clean, and even dressed me in the white suit himself. Then he stared at me, so suddenly serious it startled me. I don't want you to come with me tonight. I froze. Was he dissatisfied? Did I do something wrong? He gripped my chin and kissed me again, voice low and possessive. Ian Carter, you're too good-looking. I don't want anyone else seeing you. My cheeks burned instantly. I didn't dare meet those desire-darkened eyes, because I was afraid. Afraid of falling. Afraid that if I did, I wouldn't be able to leave anymore. The birthday banquet for the Shea family's young master was packed. Evan Whitlock, Ryan Sterling's childhood friend and the true controller of the Shea Corporation. To the public, he was classified as an S-class alpha. In reality, he was something far rarer, an enigma. I only knew because I once overheard him and Ryan talking. When he saw me arrive with Ryan, he casually lifted his glass toward us. A crisp clink echoed. Taking the hint, I politely excused myself under the pretense of going to the restroom. But just as I turned, I heard Evan Whitlock speak behind me. When are you giving Secretary Carter a proper title? He's a beta, yet he's covered head to toe in your pheromone scent. Ryan answered immediately, voice low and edged. That way, no one else will covet what's mine. Evan Whitlock let out a soft laugh. Yours? Ryan Sterling, did you finally admit you like him? Evan, what nonsense are you talking about? When did I ever say I liked him? The scoff that followed was sharp and mocking. I didn't wait to hear more. I walked faster. Too fast. My chest tightened painfully. Of course he didn't like me. To Ryan, I was nothing more than a walking suppressant, a convenient fix for a biological need. He would never love me. And I should have stopped hoping a long time ago. At the sink, I splashed water on my face and stared at my reflection. To carry Ryan Sterling's child, that alone was already the greatest blessing the universe had somehow given me. I shouldn't be greedy. I shouldn't reach for anything more. The moment I stepped out of the restroom, a powerful scent of icy pine slammed into me. I hurried toward it, and saw Ryan Sterling surrounded by a crowd of Omegas. 2 Omegas had already collapsed at his feet, faces flushed, clinging desperately to him. Their bodies were radiating pheromones so strongly it was visible in the air. The entire hall reeked of inducement agents. Ryan was already in his susceptible period. With stimulus like that, his pheromones were detonating uncontrollably. To prevent a full scene, I held my breath and pushed through the crowd, grabbing Ryan and dragging him away. Once I had him out, I alerted security about the situation on the side. The moment security left, Ryan grabbed me and pinned me against the wall, kissing me hard, his pheromones smearing recklessly over my skin. I fumbled behind me and opened the closest private room, pulling him inside. The door locked, and Ryan tore his shirt apart like it was paper. His eyes were glassy, burning, unfocused. He looked at me with the desperate expression of someone on the verge of collapse. Ian Carter. They set me up. I don't feel right. My legs weakened under the suffocating weight of his pheromones. The glands at the back of my neck throbbed and burned, hot, swollen, unbearably sensitive. The faint scent of lily of the valley mixed with the pine in the air, the scent that had begun coming from me. He leaned in, breath scorching against my neck. His eyes were blood-red with cravings he couldn't fight, and he sank his teeth into my gland. Not gently, not rationally, because he wasn't capable of either. His kisses dragged down along my neck, hands gripping my waist as if he wanted to pull me into himself, never letting go. I clung to him, terrified of slipping, terrified of falling, terrified of hurting the child inside me. Only when the storm inside him settled did he finally go still. I forced my shaking legs to move long enough to open a window and let the pheromones dissipate. The moment the cool air hit my face, everything went black. I collapsed onto the bed beside him and sank into unconsciousness. When I woke again, daylight was already pouring into the room. Ryan Sterling was pacing barefoot across the shredded remains of his clothes, phone pressed to his ear, voice sharp with fury. Find out who dared send Omegas to get close to me. I don't care how. Just find out. I pushed myself up slowly, though I already had a guess. His stepmother. She had been trying to force Ryan to obey his father and marry a pedigreed Omega. I never knew why he hated Omegas so much, only that he fought his father on this topic like it was war. Disgusting, all of them, he snapped. Those damn Omegas make me sick. My glands pulsed painfully at the back of my neck. The lily-of-the-valley scent clinging to me still hadn't faded. So in his eyes, Omegas were truly unforgivable? But I was now an Omega myself. Suddenly, Ryan turned on me, eyes fierce. Ian Carter, what scent is that on you? I went pale and said nothing, instinctively covering the swollen back of my neck. That must be from those crazed Omegas yesterday, he snarled. Reeking all over you. Go wash it off. I stepped off the bed. Marks covered every inch of skin. Ryan's scent, his teeth, his lips. Those memories were still stamped all over my body. I lowered my gaze, staring at the bruise on my wrist from his mouth. He had practically tasted every inch of me last night. My voice trembled before I could stop it. Are Omegas really that disgusting? If I were an Omega, would you hate me too? The moment the question left my mouth, regret hit like a punch. Why would I ever think I mattered enough to be the exception? The words were soft, barely more than a whisper. I prayed he hadn't heard. But high-level alphas hear everything. Ryan's eyes locked on me. Cold, predatory. Even the temperature in the room seemed to plummet. Ian, you are a beta, not an Omega. Omegas are the most repulsive creatures on Earth. You will never become one. I closed my eyes. How unlucky for both of us. Because of his pheromones, I had already undergone second differentiation. I was an Omega now, a real one, and he would never forgive that. Just as I expected, Ryan Sterling's stepmother came looking for me. The shadow I'd glimpsed that night really had been him, and those frenzied Omegas, all part of his plan. He arranged to meet me at an upscale cafe near the company. The moment I sat down, he slid a check across the table. $5 million. Payment. For leaving Ryan. I didn't even have time to speak before he pushed over a second item. A photograph. In the picture, I was standing at a pharmacy counter buying Omega suppressants. It might have been for my mother, I replied quietly. She's an Omega. You know that. I don't, he said, smiling with perfect elegance, eyes full of calculation and malice. He was a middle-aged male Omega, still stunning, but sharper than a knife. If Ryan finds out about this, he will dig into you until there's nothing left to uncover. And when that happens, Secretary Carter, you won't be walking away whole. My face went cold. If Ryan investigated, he would definitely discover everything, the secondary differentiation and the pregnancy. I didn't know if I was lucky or unlucky that the man in front of me knew I was an Omega, but didn't know I was carrying Ryan's child. I took the check. That afternoon, I skipped work long enough to deposit the money into my bank account. Then I returned to the building, handed in my resignation to HR, and blocked every one of Ryan's contact numbers and messages in one motion. I didn't even wait for my final month's salary. That same afternoon, I packed my belongings and ran. When my mother was discharged from the hospital, I took the regional bus with her and went back to our hometown, away from the city, away from him, away from the life I never should have reached for in the first place. After my mother was discharged from the hospital, my father knelt at the doorway, slapping himself over and over, begging her to forgive him. My little sister stood at the entrance with a kitchen knife. If he took even one step forward, she would swing. I sat inside the room, watching with a cold expression. When he noticed me, he crawled toward me, crying, "Ian, please, ask your mother to let me in. We can be a family again. Don't you remember how good your father used to be to you?" My hands clenched into fists, and I spat one word at him. "Get out." That night, lying in bed, I couldn't sleep no matter how I turned. Because yes, once upon a time he was good. But now every memory of him tasted like blood. After losing gambling bets, he would beat me for the smallest things. He would drag my sick mother out of her hospital room. He stole all the money I earned working part-time, money I saved for her surgery. And then he sold my alpha little sister. The day he sold her, I bit into his arm so hard I tasted flesh. He beat me with a stick and screamed, "You useless beta. You're not even worth selling. If only you were an Omega." He beat me until I blacked out, then went gambling again. When I woke up, I ran out of the house like a madman. I sprinted toward the police station and crashed right into Ryan Sterling. Blood on my head smeared across his white shirt instantly. He frowned and grabbed my shoulders. "Ian Carter, why are you covered in blood?" Back then, we had been desk mates for about a month, but barely spoke. All I knew was that his family was powerful, strong enough to take my sister back from traffickers. I clung to him like he was the last lifeline in the world. "Ryan, please, please save my sister." The rest came in pieces. I vaguely remember the hospital lights, the stitches on my head, the stinging welts on my body. And when I woke again, my sister was sitting beside my bed, eating quietly. From that day on, I followed Ryan like a shadow. Even the crumbs he dropped between his fingers were enough to support my family. And I buried the gratitude that had long since turned into something else, deep in my heart. My hand drifted slowly to my abdomen. "Ryan, this child will be the reward for all the years I stayed by your side." My parents' divorce case was a mess, and we needed a good lawyer. I remembered a former classmate, a lawyer, someone I once met through Ryan Sterling. After many calls and favors, I finally got his contact and arranged to meet. The next day, I took the regional bus back into the city. What I didn't expect was the person standing beside him, Ryan Sterling. For a split second, I wanted to run. But the documents in my hand burned like fire. My mother had wasted her whole life on that man. I couldn't let her suffer any longer. And if I showed up, Ryan would eventually track me down anyway. There was no escaping this, so I forced myself to stay calm and handed over the evidence. Photos, medical records, bank statements, proof of years of gambling and domestic violence. My demands were simple. A divorce, and full responsibility for the debt falls on him alone. After everything was settled, I dragged my exhausted body to the hotel. But just as I swiped the keycard, someone grabbed my waist and shoved me inside. My back hit the door. The room was dark, no keycard in the slot, only faint light filtering from the window. I couldn't see his expression, but I heard him through gritted teeth. "Ian Carter, you left me for $5 million?" My heart loosened in relief. So he hadn't investigated. He didn't know I was pregnant. Ryan Sterling, proud, childish, easily provoked, has probably been furious every day since I left. He didn't come because he missed me. He came because his pride wouldn't allow it. I smiled as I met his shadowed gaze. "Mr. Sterling, you misunderstand. There was nothing to abandon between us. It was always a transaction. I warmed your bed. You paid me $100,000 a month." Silence swallowed the room. Ryan's breathing grew heavier, ragged. I knew this man too well. My words didn't just anger him. They wounded him. He was like an arrogant young lion, proud to the point of absurdity. After this, he would never bow his head again. He finally let go of me and hissed, "Ian Carter, don't regret this." He yanked the door open and slammed it shut behind him. He probably truly couldn't believe it. Couldn't accept that the person who always followed him, always obeyed him, always stayed at his side, really left him, really walked away for money. He wanted to hear me say otherwise. He wanted the explanation that would soothe his ego, and I refused to give it to him. So now it was truly over. I numbly inserted the room key, undressed mechanically, crawled into bed, and wrapped myself tightly in the blankets. My hands instinctively guarded my abdomen. This was the best choice. Ryan wouldn't come after me again if he believed money was the reason. Keep the father, lose the child. That was the nightmare ending Ryan always expected. But keep the child, lose the father. That was the ending I chose. And it was the safest outcome for both of us. After a night of sleep, I took the regional bus back home. I didn't expect the divorce lawsuit to drag on for 6 whole months. Right before the new year arrived, the court date was finally confirmed. On New Year's Eve, I put on a thick gray wool coat to hide my now visible belly and sat at the table eating dinner. My little sister burst into the house waving a sparkler. "Brother, there's a luxury car downstairs. Is that your old boss?" "Ryan Sterling?" "Impossible." I shook my head immediately. There was no universe where he would come here. My sister pulled me out to the balcony to watch fireworks light up the sky. Massive bursts of colors exploded overhead, and then my gaze dropped to the parking lot below. Ryan Sterling was standing beside the luxury car, staring directly at me. My heart seized. I pulled my wool coat tighter around my body, panicking. Then Ryan opened the trunk and took out a pile of gifts and started walking toward the building. For me, that sight was nothing short of a meteor hitting the earth. I spun around and rushed back inside, and just as I did, my mom opened the door. Ryan stood there at the threshold, smiling politely and innocently. "Auntie, I'm Ryan, Ian Carter's colleague. I came to give New Year's greetings." "Oh, I remember you. You're Star's high school classmate. Come in, come in." While my mom turned away and Ryan sat down, I leaned close, voice lowered to a threat. "What are you doing here?" I tugged at my clothes again, terrified he might notice something different. Then I hissed, "Leave. Now." He ignored me completely. Instead, he picked up the chopsticks and began eating like nothing was wrong. My mom was delighted and filled his glass to the brim with wine. "It's snowing so hard outside. Just stay here tonight. There's a spare room. I'll go make the bed later." "No, Mom. He'll be leaving soon." I interrupted immediately. My mom gave me a disapproving stare. "Ryan went to all the trouble to find Star and bring him home, and you want to kick out our literal lifesaver on New Year's Eve? Do you want the heavens to punish us?" I shut my mouth instantly. Our family can't afford any more tragedy. That night, I thought I'd be too restless to sleep with Ryan in the house. What did it even mean that he came all the way here on New Year's Eve? After all these years, was I actually important to him too? Otherwise, why would he travel so far, in the snow no less, just to see me? Before I could figure anything out, my eyelids grew heavy. Late pregnancy was exhausting, half asleep, drifting. I felt someone push my bedroom door open. Before I could react, the mattress dipped. Ryan climbed up beside me and wrapped an arm around my waist. The next second, he suddenly jerked upright and switched on the bedside lamp. The burst of light stung my eyes. Ryan lifted the blanket with a frozen expression, and the moment he saw my belly, his pupils shook violently. "Ian Carter, you're pregnant!" And then he smelled it, the foreign alpha pheromone on my skin. It wasn't a real person's pheromone. It was the synthetic calming agent the hospital prescribed for unbonded pregnant omegas. But Ryan didn't know that. His face went from pale to thunderstorm black, his eyes turning red and furious. "Whose child is it? Is it that alpha you smell like?" "Yes," I answered quietly. Ryan's eyes reddened even further, the kind of red that looked 1 second away from breaking. He slammed his fist into the mattress, hands shaking from rage and disbelief. Then he practically stumbled out of my room in humiliation. His cold pine pheromone lingered in the air long after he was gone. I lay there powerless, staring at nothing. A moment later, the front door slammed so hard the whole house trembled. Mom shuffled in, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "What happened? Did little Ryan leave?" I pulled the blanket over my head, muffling my voice. "He had something to deal with at home, so he left first." Mom nodded. "Makes sense. It's New Year's. It's not proper for him to stay in someone else's home anyway. It's just so late and the snow is heavy. I hope the road wasn't too dangerous." "He's a high-level alpha, Mom. He'll be fine. Don't worry. Go back to sleep. I'm exhausted." Mom sighed softly and closed the door. I pushed the blanket down just enough to breathe and stared blankly at the ceiling. Ryan's scent still clung to the fabric. I pulled the blanket into my arms. My high school years were poor and bleak, and Ryan Sterling was the only light I had. To pay for Mom's medical bills and my sister's tuition, I worked several part-time jobs a day on top of school. One evening after class, I was mopping the basketball court when Ryan and his friends finished playing. He frowned at me and called out, "Hey, Ian Carter, go buy us water." I set the mop aside and carried back a whole crate. Ryan transferred 10,000 yuan to me. After that, my time belonged to him. He was the young master of the Sterling family. He only drank iced water, fresh food cooked on the spot, everything done immediately. So I cooked in the apartment he rented. Errands plus meals paid me 1,000 yuan a day. Life was hard, and in the nights I was too tired to sleep, I chewed on my secret feelings for Ryan over and over again. From his occasional kindness, I tasted something dangerously sweet. But I knew. It was all one-sided. I shut my eyes, pushed every useless thought away and drifted off, only to feel my body grow feverishly warm. I slept like I had fallen out of the world. When my sister shook me awake the next morning, I still felt dazed. She said, "Brother, that luxury car is still downstairs. Your boss never left." I frowned. "Ryan, impossible." But she dragged me to the window anyway, and there it was, the same luxury car buried under snow. I forced myself out of bed, but my neck ached sharply and my head felt heavy. "Brother, why is your face so red?" "I probably slept too long," I muttered, slapping my cheeks lightly. "I'll go check." I bundled myself in a thick coat and went outside. Snow covered the roof of Ryan's car. I knocked on the window. Ryan got out, frowning hard, and immediately took off his coat and wrapped it around my shoulders. "What are you doing outside? And dressed so thinly?" A warmth spread through my chest. "Why didn't you leave?" Ryan hesitated, jaw tight, then snapped angrily. "I'm not leaving until I find out which alpha knocked you up and then abandoned you. Leaving you alone on New Year's Eve." Something melted inside me, a warmth that spread through my whole body, and then my neck began to burn again. My glands throbbed hot. Ryan cared about me. "You." My vision suddenly spun. "Star!" The last thing I saw before everything went dark was Ryan's panicked face. When I woke up, the first thing I heard was the attending physician scolding someone. "You're his alpha? Do you have any idea how much a pregnant Omega needs pheromone soothing? You've been gone this whole time. Is work more important than your child and your spouse?" My eyes flew open. I hurried to say, "He's not." But the doctor thought I was angry and doubled down on Ryan instead. Go apologize to your spouse properly. He's suffered enough during this pregnancy. Once the doctor left, Ryan's eyes were burning red. Ian Carter? Is that how he treated you? Who is he? Is it because of him that you left me? This has nothing to do with you, Ryan. Just leave. My voice was flat, cold. Ryan shut his mouth instantly, every muscle in his body tight like he was one spark away from detonating. His cold pine pheromones started leaking, sharply, uncontrollably, and because I was deep into pregnancy and deprived of alpha pheromone soothing, the surge hit me like a punch. My whole body ached from resisting it. I craved Ryan's pheromones. Desperately. But I knew better. Once you get used to something, losing it is hell. We're no longer connected, Ryan, I whispered. Please. Get out. Ryan finally walked out. I exhaled, shaky, exhausted, unaware that right outside the door, my mother stopped him. Ryan, I know you're a good kid, but even if you and Star quarreled, you can't just ignore him. You have no idea how hard this pregnancy has been on him. Ryan froze, pupils trembling. Then he turned and slammed the door open again. He walked straight to my bedside and sat down. Ian Carter, he said quietly, if your alpha doesn't want you anymore, I can be your child's father. My heart lurched. You like me? My voice wasn't steady. Ryan didn't answer. Not verbally, at least, but the silence said enough. My heart skipped several beats. Then I forced myself to tear the moment apart. Ryan, I said with a bitter smile, I'm not a beta. I'm an omega now. The kind you hate the most. Ryan threw up. And in that moment, I knew he would never come back again. After the new year, the divorce trial finally took place. Mom stood firm and left that scumbag once and for all. Everything was moving in a better direction. One late night, with my due date approaching, I sat on the bed, reviewing the items in my hospital delivery bag. Then the balcony window rattled. Someone climbed in through the darkness with practiced ease. I grabbed the glass on my nightstand, ready to smash it across someone's head, but when I saw his face, my body instantly loosened. Ryan's eyes were red as he walked toward me. I frowned. What are you doing here? You're carrying my child, Ian Carter, he said, voice low and uneven. Don't I even have the right to know? My heart dropped. I reacted instinctively. Tried to get up and run, but Ryan grabbed the back of my neck before I could move. Where do you think you're going with that belly? His palm brushed against the swollen gland at the base of my neck. My knees buckled immediately. The air filled with high-level alpha pheromones. Soothing pheromones. Ryan whispered, Ian, don't be scared. I'm not here to fight with you. I'm here to be the father of our child. I opened my mouth to speak. But the balcony suddenly lit up with a harsh flashlight. A huge rock smashed against the window with a deafening crack. Ian Carter, get the hell down here! Ryan immediately pulled me behind him. If you don't get down here right now, I'll stab your mother to death! I shoved Ryan away and stumbled to the balcony rail. There he was, my biological father, dragging my mother by the arm, surrounded by the debt collectors I remembered all too well. Scott Carter, don't you dare! I yelled. I turned to run downstairs, but Ryan grabbed my wrist. I'll go. You stay here. No, I have to. Star. His voice was firm, steady. Don't be afraid. I'm a high-level alpha. They're no match for me. And with that, Ryan jumped straight off the balcony. I rushed to the railing. The streetlights below were dim, and I couldn't see a thing. Mom broke free from Dad's grip, and the debt collectors scattered like rats. Cold pine suppression pheromones rolled off Ryan's body. Dad writhed on the ground, screaming. Only then did I breathe. But then, something warm and wet began running down my legs. My water broke. My little sister rushed out when she heard the commotion. Seeing the puddle spreading beneath my feet, her eyes widened. Brother, your water broke. We need to get to the hospital now. She grabbed the maternity bag and helped me downstairs as fast as possible. Mom was filthy from the struggle, but the moment she saw my soaked pants, she collected herself instantly. Star, don't worry. Your water breaking is okay. We'll get you to the hospital right away. As soon as I stepped outside, Ryan turned, eyes widening. He scooped me up and settled me into the back seat of the car, releasing soothing alpha pheromones nonstop the entire ride. I was rushed straight into the delivery room. It was a premature labor, and I'd just been through a shock, so Ryan was kept inside with me to release alpha pheromones soothing. The delivery was brutal. Pain drenched my forehead in cold sweat. If it weren't for Ryan's stabilizing pheromones, I would have passed out from exhaustion long before the end. Only when I finally heard the sharp, newborn cry did my tears fall with it. Ryan carried the baby and pushed my bed out of the delivery room. The moment he handed the baby and me over to my mother, with a heavy thud, he collapsed. His dark coat hit the floor first, and instantly red streaks soaked across the white tiles. I stared at him, stunned. Someone's collapsed! Nurses rushed toward him from every direction. The patient has a stab wound in the back. Emergency team, prepare for surgery. The baby in my arms wailed uncontrollably. But I could only look at Ryan lying on the floor. Was he insane? He was stabbed, bleeding, and still forced out that much pheromone soothing just to keep me conscious through labor. Did he not care whether he lived? I waited outside the operating room, gripping the blanket around my newborn. The baby came a few days early, but was perfectly healthy. My sister took him for tests. My mom stood behind me, hands on my wheelchair, sighing quietly. Star, I don't know everything that's happened between you two. But from what I've seen, Ryan seems like a good man. So maybe, just maybe, give him a chance, all right? I stared at the words in surgery glowing above the doors. I nodded. If he survives this, I'll give him a chance. And maybe I'll give myself a chance too. Ryan survived. And afterward, he finally told me why he hated Omegas so much. He was born to a defective alpha. His father seduced and manipulated that alpha, then became obsessively possessive. One day, because his alpha mother exchanged just a single sentence with another Omega, his father gouged out her scent gland. But in the end, the one who cheated, the one who crossed the line, was Ryan's own father, with another Omega. An Omega with whom he had a 100% compatibility rate. Ryan's mother couldn't bear the betrayal. She jumped off a building. From then on, Ryan felt a physical revulsion toward Omegas. He hated how pheromones could reduce people to animals. He took my hand and said quietly but firmly, I like you. I liked you back when you were still a beta. I just didn't understand my own feelings. I'm the one who made you become an Omega. Please, let me take responsibility. Let me take care of you for the rest of our lives. Ryan is arrogant, sharp-tongued, hot-headed, and immature. But it's also undeniable. He is my light. So I did the simplest thing in the world. I reached out and embraced my light. Ryan Sterling, side story. Evan Whitlock told me if I didn't give Ian Carter a proper title soon, Ian would run. I didn't believe him. Ian had followed me for so many years. Anyone could leave me, but not him. I never thought my stepmother would buy him off with $5 million. By the time I realized it, he was gone. Disappeared so completely, he even blocked every way for me to reach him. I went to a bar and drank myself sick. Evan laughed and called me a massive idiot of a dog. I thought of the old days, how Ian always listened to me. How dare he leave first? I choked on the anger. I heard he was looking for a lawyer for a divorce case, so I contacted a classmate and went with him. I wanted Ian to explain. If he did, I would forgive him, let him return as my secretary, and continue the way things were. But he said that between us, it was only a transaction. So what were those 10 years of feelings supposed to be? I left in a rage, angry that Ian had no heart. So I buried myself in work. But the more I worked day after day, the more I thought of Ian. I missed everything about him. The tea he brewed, the meals he cooked, the bed he made, the presentations he prepared. Evan told me I was in love with him. I admitted it, but Ian still didn't come back. He still didn't regret it. He really didn't want me anymore. It drove me insane, but I'm the type who refuses to bow my head first. I endured it, cycle after cycle, relying only on suppressant patches through every susceptible period. But in my dreams, all I ever saw was him. I didn't get along with my family. By New Year's, I was the only one left in the huge villa. And once again, I thought of Ian Carter. If he were still here, he would have filled the dining table with food for me. Ever since high school, the first New Year's message I received was always from him, down to the exact second of midnight. On a reckless impulse, I bought a car full of gifts. On New Year's Eve, I drove hundreds of kilometers to Ian's hometown. The moment I saw him again, I wanted to crush him into my bones, make him part of me so he could never escape. But he didn't seem happy to see me. I wasn't pleased. So late that night, I climbed into his bed. When I wrapped an arm around his waist, I realized he was pregnant. My ears rang. He was pregnant with another alpha's child. I nearly exploded. Who was that alpha? Who dared to treat Ian like that? I sat in my car pounding the steering wheel, so furious and heartbroken I could barely breathe. I wanted to find whoever stole Ian's heart and kill him. I ate vinegar and jealousy the entire night. The more I thought, the more enraged I became. That bastard Alpha. That irresponsible scumbag. How dare he? And then Ian fainted. The attending doctor yelled at me, and I wished more than anything that I were the baby's father. He could curse me all he wanted. It didn't matter. But Ian told me I wasn't. I left the room defeated. Then Ian's mother also assumed I was the father. So that Alpha hadn't shown up once. Didn't care. Didn't take responsibility. Fine. If no one else would take responsibility for Ian and the baby, I would. But then Ian said he was an Omega. I didn't want to gag. But I couldn't stop it. I didn't know when Ian had started lying to me, and I didn't know how to react. My emotions were a storm I couldn't understand. I went home completely shattered and ran into Evan Whitlock. He said, "Ryan, are you stupid? If you want to know something, investigate it. High-level alphas can trigger a second differentiation. A beta can turn into an omega." So I pulled Ian's medical records. I found proof that he was already pregnant when he was still by my side, and that he second differentiated into an omega. That lily-of-the-valley scent I kept smelling. And I never noticed. No wonder he left. I only enjoyed keeping him near me. I never cared about him. I was the alpha who hurt Ian Carter. Regret crushed me. I couldn't imagine how he survived pregnancy without an alpha's pheromone support. How helpless and miserable must he have been? I wanted to fly to him immediately, so I did. I drove straight to his building and climbed through the window. This time I would hold on to my Omega, and I would treat him the way he deserved. The end.